A couple of years ago we had an in-ground storm shelter installed, and it's customary to have dirt piled up around the sides and the back of it. So that's what you see here. And the first year I found out it was impossible to mow that dirt, and it's also kind of a pain in the butt to use a weed eater. As you can see, there's Bermuda grass starting to grow up the sides, so I wanted to keep that under control. During late fall, I went ahead and added some fresh soil over the weeds and Bermuda grass that had been growing on the sides. Then on top of the soil, I added wood chips. The wood chips work pretty well for keeping weeds down, except for Bermuda grass, and it seems to love growing in wood chips. I have the vents covered up because I use the storm shelter in the wintertime for storing tubers, roots, and rhizomes of various types. I added the wood chips all the way around the storm shelter until I had a pretty good layer on both sides and the back. The front of the shelter slopes down to where the door opening is, even with the ground. As you can see here, I ended up with a pretty good layer of wood chips all the way around the storm shelter. And this would have worked for most weeds, but I knew from experience that the Bermuda grass would thrive in it. So I wanted to try sweet potatoes to see if that would hold the Bermuda grass back. I started with very small sweet potatoes all the way around. They were yellow jerseys. And we had a very cold month of May, so it took them till June to get started. This is on June 12th, you're seeing here. And there was a volunteer sunflower also growing. The sweet potatoes ended up doing their job very well, and here on September 23rd you can see it covers the whole area around the sides and the back of the storm shelter. The sweet potato vines actually ended up covering all of the area that I wanted it to cover, and it was trying to grow out in the yard, but that wasn't a problem because everywhere that it grew farther than I wanted it to, I just mowed it down. So it worked really well for keeping me from having to mow the sides of the storm shelter or weed eat it. And sweet potatoes, as well as being a great weed barrier, they're also great at producing a crop. And we did get some sweet potatoes. Whenever the vines got to growing on top of the shelter too close to the vents, I simply pulled them back by hand, which didn't take much effort at all. I waited longer than I did on the rest of our sweet potatoes because, as you can see, we've already had a freeze. But I didn't do any digging on this because I didn't want to disturb our soil around the shelter, so all I did was just reach in and pull up what I could pull up, and that's what you see here. It ended up doing so well that I plan to try it again next year, except next year I'm going to use several different types of sweet potatoes. The yellow jerseys, they produce a great crop. I mean, they have lots of potatoes, and some of them can be fairly large like this one. But they aren't one of my favorite types of sweet potatoes. They're a little on the dry side, so I'm going to try some different varieties next year. If you're checking out this video because you have a storm shelter like ours, let me know about it in the comment section below. And if you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. We'll see you next time.